Okay.
Oh, yes, I'm not on the.
We're rolling. Why don't we get started with, why don't you guys introduce yourself and like tell us what you're doing in this moment as far as like creative endeavors or like professional endeavors.
I'm Lauren. This is my husband, Matt.
What's up, guys?
Um,
We just moved to Vermont.
yeah, we have no idea what we're doing. That's the
Yeah.
that's the crux of this. Um, we bought a little bar mid-pandemic, and we've never managed a bar before, let alone owned one. So everything has been trial by fire, and we're still getting it off the ground. But it's been a fun adventure. I mean, we have felt like every emotion, total excitement, like terrified, like we're wavering between the two all the time, but it's good.
Yeah. um, yeah, I want to know, you've been in the industry long enough. Like you've been in the industry bartending for how long? I know you guys have been around the block for quite some time. It's not like you're just like, oh boy, I don't know.
Yeah, so I the service industry is all that I personally know. I think my first job was as a hostess in a crab shack at 15.
Yeah.
And from there, I did like waitressing and bottle service and then bartending. And I've been now bartending since I was 21 and I'm 32. So 11, or I just turned 33 actually 2 days ago.
Yeah,
So I guess,
that's right.
thanks.
I was like, I'm going to
No,
say
it's a very unexciting 33. So.
Yeah. I've been in the service industry as well, probably since I got out of college. So around 22, started as a barista, worked that on and off for probably 3-4 years, and then moved into bars and worked the door, bar backs, bartended,
yeah,
just did the thing.
Yeah, man. A lot of people, whenever I was bartending, a lot of people would come in and be like, oh, it's so cool to own a bar. And I'm like, oh, your bar would be trashed if you owned it. I'm so glad you don't own a bar. But whenever I heard you guys were owning a bar, I was like, that's amazing. That's really, really good.
I mean, that's always the dream, right? So like most bar people in the service industry, like they want to eventually own their own bar. And, but it's really hard. Like each step you move up in the service industry, from like server or bar back to bartender to bar manager, like the ceiling gets thicker and it gets like harder to make that next step, to management, and then from management to like ownership. And we totally didn't do things by the book. Neither one of us have ever like general managed, like we've been in the service industry, but we never managed. So we knew what we wanted to do and we had that in our head that we wanted, but we totally, this opportunity kind of like the stars aligned and it happened. And we weren't really even looking to buy a bar right now. We were on unemployment.
Yeah, we're kind of looking, but not seriously.
Not to buy one right now. We were like putting the feelers out for the future, like what writing a business plan would look like and how much money will it take depending upon where we're looking. But yeah, I don't know if you want the story of how it came to buying a bar in Vermont, but
yeah, no, I do. That's I guess what I'm kind of like nudging towards is like, tell me how you ended up in like from bartending in Austin, Texas to owning a bar in Vermont. And is it snowing there? Is it just cold? I see you guys got the beanies.
So it snowed so far.
Yeah.
It's not snowing right now.
Beanie, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, gotta do it.
It snowed a little, but it's already melted, so it's not snow on the ground yet. Like it's coming and going at this point.
Yeah, that's how ours is, right?
So
I feel like the story kind of starts at buying a house a little bit, right?
Yeah. So when we bought a house, it was always we ended up buying a house outside of the city of Austin, like 40 minutes. Where we could afford to buy. And it was a fixer-upper. And it was always kind of our goal to fix up the house and then use that money to either buy closer to the city where we could afford or like start a business with it. I went back to school later in life and I just finished my degree in the spring. So I finally have my bachelor's. And Thanks.
That's great.
But that was kind of the thing that was really holding us to Austin, was finishing school. And when I was done with that, we kind of came to realize that starting a bar in Austin was going to be so expensive, and we'd have to take on so many investors, and it would be such a tougher gamble. You'd have to put more out there to potentially lose bigger. And we didn't know how much longer. I'm heading towards my mid-30s, and you kind of got to wait on that opportunity to manage for a while, and when was that going to come along? And so we were just kind of like looking out of state to like, what's a cool city that we really would want to end up for a while, that's maybe more affordable or smaller, outdoorsy. I eventually want to apply to medical school. And so having a medical school in that small outdoorsy town that was affordable was also really important. And we landed on Burlington as having all of those things. And then from there, I was just perusing the internet one day to kind of like, okay, what would it cost? What is the bar industry in Burlington like? What does it cost to get into a commercial business there? And I saw this turnkey bar for sale at this like incredible price because it was mid-pandemic. And I just called, and they were like, we actually have an offer, but if you're serious, we won't accept it, and we'll wait for you to come up and look at it. And I was like, bought a ticket for the next day, and we flew out to Burlington to check it out.
It was like a Thursday, and we flew up for the weekend.
Yeah, and we had never been to Vermont.
Yeah.
Matt, what was your feel? Were you like, we're doing this, or were you just kind of like, we'll look at it?
It's kind of the reaction I have to a lot of Lauren's ideas, where it's like, it seems really, really fucking crazy. So you kind of assess, like, but it also seems awesome. So you kind of like have to sit back and assess crazy to awesome to viability ratio. And so, let's get on the plane. Let's go check it out. Let's go look. And we got, everything felt really right, from the get-go. The town felt really cool, felt familiar, felt like places that I'd loved and lived before. The bar owner seemed, I don't know, everything just worked.
Yeah.
So the dominoes started to align.
Nice. Every time I go to a city, I do this thing, and I don't know, my brain goes to this place or country for that matter, where I'm like, oh, I could live in Ireland. Oh, it's kind of cool. I get like a little house like that over there, and I probably work at that bar over there. Like I start like, I imagine that's maybe like the same thing was going through your head, but you were like, oh, I would actually be working at this bar, and then that place across the street would be like where I would go for a sandwich or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It was like, Burlington is right on Lake Champlain, this giant lake. It's like a small college town, so it's got kind of like an outdoorsy but artistic feel. There's youth energy. It's like old brick buildings. There's a lot of like investment as far as public spaces along the water. I don't know. It's a great place.
There's some like ghost story folklore about Lake Champlain. Do you guys know about that yet?
No, but wasn't like one of the first Navy battles of the U.S. fought on Lake Champlain? Matt told me that, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. And now you guys are getting into like actual history, where I'm like, there's a ghost story about that place. You're like,
oh no.
Yeah.
Tell us your ghost story.
Yeah, ghost story sounds better anyways.
I think I'll have to look into. I remember like, ooh, that's scary. And I just remember it because I was like, Champagne? Wait, that's different. No, that's not. I just remembered it because, anyways. I was unaware that you were so close. I'll find the ghost story, and I'll do the research.
Do the follow-up.
Yeah. Before I'm like, oh, there's cartoons about that. You're like, yeah, that's actual history there, Adam. What's the name of the bar? What did you guys like? Have you named it yet?
Yeah, it's Good Trouble.
Good Trouble. That's great. That's a great name for a bar. Is it huge?
Thanks.
Space, little space?
I would say it's kind of medium. It's a 75-person capacity, so not teeny, but definitely smaller.
I like that size. The reason
it's a
for
good
that,
size.
yeah, if you've got a huge space, even if you're pretty busy, it still sort of looks empty. And I think that people tend to like, well, let's go see what else is going on.
Totally. It's enough to like, garner a crowd, but it's not a club. It's never going to be like a dance. We kind of want to make it a kind of a service industry, what we are, a kind of laid back, kind of divey lounge. We've been just driving around the Northeast, picking up like Craigslist and Marketplace, like vintage furniture. And so that's been really, really kind of fun. So everything is like secondhand in that bar.
That's cool. So you guys sold your house and
so we're renting now. So we basically traded home ownership for bar ownership. And people, we took the equity basically, and now we're into a bar.
I talked to a guy. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
No, you got it.
I was just gonna say I talked to a guy who did the same thing for film. Like it's your pat. He was like, I finally owned a house, and it was like I took the equity and just paid my actors and stuff, and made a movie. I mean, but it pumps me up. Like I really like that. I know it. Like, all right, I'm a homeowner, and it feels good. But I would totally do that. I would totally sell my house to pursue fill in the blank, like whatever your passion project is. So that's badass, guys. That's
awesome. Thanks, yeah, we're it was a really unique
we also borrowed a bunch of money from family.
Yeah, well,
it's not just that.
We we didn't take on any investors. We basically we took small loans from family, and that is the idea is that depending upon how much we spend in our equity, we'll pay them back with it. But if we blow through all the equity getting through this, we'll see. We'll see how long the payback scheme is going to be.
We'll see when bars are open.
Yeah. Because when we bought the bar, we hadn't sold the house. So we had to take out loans to get the bar. And then we're selling the house. And now we're sitting on the equity because we don't know when we're going to. But ideally, we'll open soon and then be able to pay back, our family loans.
Are you guys just decorating and like stocking the bar right now? Like what's the lockdown in Burlington right now? What are the restrictions? Are bars open?
Bars are closed.
Yeah.
No. They just recently closed about a week ago.
Yeah. That's same here in Santa Fe. They were sort of open at like mild capacity, like 10-20% or something like that. And then our numbers just like spiked out of nowhere. And I say out of nowhere, they were climbing, and it was like, okay, it's kind of getting out of control. And then they just shut us all down again. So
it's a national thing at this point. We're kind of in that you're like torn between like numbers are skyrocketing, shit seems to be hitting the fan, but then at the same time you have all this great news, like 3 COVID vaccines are coming out and they're super effective, and they are hopefully hitting the market to certain people by the end of the December even, which is super early. So it's kind of like this back and forth of like, we're gonna be good, we're gonna be fucked, we're good. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Vermont has been really good, like relatively, obviously, but Vermont's case has always been really low. They've been some of the lowest rates in the country this whole pandemic. They've been really good about being proactive instead of reactive about it. So they kind of shut down the bars before the holiday rather than like after the spike, so they're kind of, I was reading that they might anticipate reopening up in the next week or two, just kind of after the Thanksgiving holiday.
Cool.
But we won't be ready to go. We're still like trudging through the like permitting and everything takes like 2 and 3 times longer than you think it would.
Yeah. And also I'm sure people aren't in offices as often as they usually are. Like, oh, that's Nancy. We're shut down. She's working from home, and like, good luck getting a hold of like.
Oh yeah. Even like we're trying to get a new sign made, which is something you have to have, right? Like we need a new sign. We can't have the old sign. And yeah, that like they're like, oh, the distributor is like way backed up. It's gonna take 8 weeks, and we're like, that's 2 months from now, you know. So,
Yeah,
but
permitting office is at, half the hours for the week, and you got to line that up too.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't imagine. Let me just run you through like the emotions when you're like, surprise, I bought a bar. Like we bought a bar on social media. I was like, whoa, that's bold. And because like you said, it was right in the middle of a pandemic. I was like, oh, it was kind of like breaking a bottle of champagne on a boat and causing like a little bit of a hole. As it was like, I was like, congratulations, break. And I was like, oh God, I hope that hole doesn't start to take water and it gets lower. And I start to say,
that's exactly how it felt, actually.
I was like celebrating and like, was that a hole? Oh no, is that a hole? Like, no, that's a knot. Did I cause the hole? Oh no, you guys, there might be a hole. So
that's exactly. I mean, I think I even said when I was like, we bought a bar, I was like, wish us luck. We bought one mid-pandemic, like we don't know what we're doing. But it truly, like when I say it was like super affordable, it was really affordable. And the guy, we felt like we had to do it. Like this man, you talk about people that say they like, oh, I want to open a bar, but then they really don't. He was a finance guy, super, super, super nice. Like, I don't think money was much of an object for him, but he was like super friendly and wanted to open a bar. And he actually opened a distillery, and this was kind of a tasting room for the distillery. And he was serving like really high-end cocktails. And I think it was definitely a case where someone who hasn't been in the service industry, it's hard to run a bar if you haven't. Even no matter how good you are at the finance and the crunching numbers, like there's just intricacies of like, you need to have worked in a bar to really understand.
To be fair too, they owned a distillery. That wasn't their primary focus. Yeah. This was really just something that they created to showcase their spirits.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an afterthought anyway.
Totally, man.
But they spent $500,000 like building out this bar. And then they sold it for a very small fraction of that. So we felt like, oh, we have to jump it because we could turn around and sell it right now for pretty much what we bought it for.
That's great. Anthony Bourdain talks about literally that, like how people, like a finance guy will buy a bar, or he talks about restaurants, but it's interchangeable. Because it's a cool idea, and that person really didn't have any business owning a restaurant in the first place. So a lot of like people that have been in the service industry for as long as you guys have, that's when you sink your teeth in and like make a thing flourish. And I think that's what you need. Like even working in the service industry I've got almost 20 years under my belt. Same kind of thing where like in junior high, I was like kind of like helping my friend bus tables, and then I went to like waiting tables, and then it was like bar backing, and then bartending, and then managing bars, which by the way is just like a Excel spreadsheet, so don't worry about like, oh gosh, I've never managed a bar before.
Dude, we're
gonna figure it out.
Yeah, we were like, we know people have done this that I think we're capable, but we'll see. Like it's still a matter of like, we think we're capable learners, but we have to learn still. Like we don't have we haven't done it. But
you have to have a level of unearned confidence.
Yeah, you kind of do have to like just take a leap of faith and like blindly go into it. But also,
and, what we're kind of like we're kind of telling ourselves is there is always risk. There's always going to be risk. Obviously risk is fucking high right now, but there are other circumstances that have changed, like getting a better price and being able to get into a good location. And yeah, it's just it. I guess what we're telling ourselves is it's never gonna be risk free, and it's never gonna be easy per se. So like, if you got a shot, sometimes you just gotta go for it. And if we fail, we fail.
Yeah.
But at least we went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And Matt, just to like strengthen your point a little bit, I'm so excited to see what comes out of this. The pandemic sucks. Like it's pretty fucking shitty, but some pretty rad opportunities are happening. Like, all right, this is no better time than now to sell the bar, and like no better time than now to try a bar. And with the downtime, you're able to decorate and paint and get new signs and do sort of a scary blessing. I've had opportunity to work on passion projects of my own and a lot of like unemployment stints personally. So like I'm really excited about what's happening with that. But also in 2 weeks I lose my job again. So it's like I'm kind of getting used to it. So I'm really excited about like all the new shit that's gonna come out on the other end of this like really shitty thing that the world is going through essentially. Your bar being one of them.
Totally.
So cool.
I feel like a lot of good art is going to come out of it.
Absolutely. Like people, this has kind of forced people, I think, kind of out of their comfort zone. And particularly a lot of people in the service industry, because we always felt pretty comfortable doing what we're doing, going through the motions. And then all of a sudden, like this impenetrable industry, this is like the one thing that could, fuck up the service industry is a pandemic, right? And so a lot of people were just like pivoting and adapting and finding new work. And I mean, the artists were busy. Like all my friends that make music were like writing like tons of music. All my friends that make art were like making a ton of art. So it will be cool to see that come out on the other side, like I'm hoping that it's not all bad. I don't think it is. I think that there will be some silver linings to all this.
Yeah, I agree.
For everyone.
I think so.
For everyone, it seemed like a good time to recalibrate, right? Like you just shake out of that rhythm of what you've been doing. You kind of put your head down and just go through the day to day. And you aren't always cognizant of maybe how much you're enjoying what you're doing and where you want to be. And if this is leading to that. And I think that for a lot of people, obviously, this is a terrible situation and a lot of people have been negatively affected, but it did, I think, help to recalibrate for a lot of people. Like, is this the trajectory that I want to be on?
Yeah, 100%, man. Does it feel right? Does it feel good to you guys? Like this is where we need to be.
It's scary.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, it's great. Like it is really exciting just to be this creative. Like, right. All these years in the service industry, we've been like pulling, like storing all these, like, oh, I like them, they do this. Every time I've been into a bar for the past 10 years, I'm like, oh, I like this thing, I don't like that thing. Or, you've just been storing all these like tidbits of like how you do it, right? If you ran a bar. And so it's nice to like finally implement that. So like put our, brainchild out there.
Humbling to see how much there is.
There's a lot of like
you take for granted that is going on that you don't know about too.
I mean, even in terms of like so many permits to like, to put up the sign, we're like taking down these partitions, and that's like a whole process. We bought an espresso machine for the bar, and we got a killer deal on it. That's like the best deal that we've like. Other than maybe the bar itself, everything has been so expensive, but the espresso machine was like a super nice one too.
I bought an espresso machine this year, and it's been 2 purchases that I was like, this was worth every penny. And it was a cheap espresso machine, but it'll pull you a shot and it'll steam some milk. So one shot. And
yeah.
It's good enough for like living in the mountains and like needing to scratch that itch if you want to make like a fancy pinch.
Yeah.
And then the second one was a bidet. Oh my God, so good. Especially with the cold weather, it has like a heated
The bum
seat.
gun.
A bum gun, baby. Oh man. When everybody was like freaking out about toilet paper, like toggling back and forth, I was
You
like,
were right as
whatever.
rain.
Fine. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Anyways, enough about me. How big is the espresso machine? Can you pull 2 shots at once?
Oh, it's a behemoth. Like it is,
Good.
it's the Cadillac of espresso machines. It's like way more of an espresso machine than we need. It's, if anybody knows anything about coffee,
you can pull 3 shots at once, and it's
like a 3 group.
2 wand, so 2 steam wands. It's a GB5 La Marzocco. It's fucking badass.
Watch your language on the podcast, man.
My bad.
And but it's also our fallback plan if the bars stay closed for, a lot longer. We're like, we can still do to-go coffee, right? Like we can still do to-go like hot drinks and coffees and like kind of convert to a coffee shop if need be.
Yeah, Matt, I'm probably telling you something that you already know, having worked in coffee before, but you can make a mad profit from like coffee beans if you're buying like large quantities of them. And like you said, just being versatile and doing to-go coffees just to keep you afloat, like just to keep the lights on or whatever, just to break even for that matter. That's awesome, guys.
Yeah, just to like keep the lights on.
Yeah, totally. And my immediate thought was like, all right, how much do we have to do to like be worth roasting our own beans? You know what I mean? I was like, man, I should have been doing this for years at home.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that, Adam?
I've never roasted my own coffee beans, but I've gone through walk through coffee bean farms and like roasteries. What's it called? What's the correct?
Absolutely.
So
I think that's it. Coffee roasters.
Yeah. I've been through and then Texas Coffee Roasters is a good from in Austin. Have you guys ever been there? That's a really great place. Shout out to those guys.
I don't think I have.
But they're if do you need to go back to Austin anytime soon? Probably not. You should look
actually. I probably will in like a month or two to see my mom. Yeah.
Totally go to Texas. This is not very good podcast material, but you should definitely go to Texas Coffee Roasters, and they'll show you like they're happy to do it too. They're like, oh, we store ours in trash bins. Like it's the best way to do it. Like they're new. It's not like we like get the rotten avocados out there. Anyways, that's probably not true. So take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, you should be getting coffee. You might find it. I don't know. Don't listen to what I say.
We should. So the good side of this is we can they're doing, even when the bars were closed, you can do to-go liquor right now during the pandemic. So we were like, we can be a coffee shop, but we'll also be able to do a boozy coffee to go, which other coffee shops are not going to be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Irish coffees, peppermint patties. Those are great.
Yeah. So here's a funny story about the bar. Dumb Texans. This was such a Lauren and Matt move. The outside of the bar was bubblegum pink. I'm shit you not, like bright candy cotton, like
the worst possible color.
Pink. So we have to paint it, right? And we didn't realize that it has to be above 35 degrees for 48 hours for the paint to adhere properly to paint the exterior. We didn't know that. So we go into Sherwin-Williams one day and we're just looking at paint colors because we're trying to decide we got to do something about the cotton candy. And the guy's like, oh no, you can't paint till spring. We have to paint. This is not we're painting.
Come again?
Yeah. And he was like, no, he told us the spiel. It's got to be above 35 for 48 hours or it won't adhere. And we look at the forecast and we have about 45 hours at 38 degrees. And the sun is set on the day, right?
7 p.m.
Yeah. So we buy paint right then and we paint through the night in the dark in wind on ladders, at night painting this building.
And it's not it's not wood. It's a very
like a
very
stucco.
textured concrete surface.
You gotta like saturate that brush.
There's still like a little bit of pink just shining through on that undercoat. Yeah.
But it stayed. We still have it's no longer pink, and it worked. By the skin of our teeth, we got that done.
Awesome. That doesn't sound like a comfortable painting experience, but I'm really glad that it stuck.
We were like, what are we gonna do? Do we have a pink? Like what?
What colors you go with?
We went with black. Yeah, just a flat black.
Sure. That's awesome. Well, now that you
got like, I mean, if I was like, if I have to be out there with permanent marker, like we're covering up this pink, like it can't.
Just doodles all over it. Just becomes the doodle bar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now that you've got like your baby, how I know the first couple of shifts or whatever, it's probably just going to be you two, but like, who do you instill trust in to like, okay, help us run this thing and see it through? That's got to be like, I imagine that's got to be like a really difficult, like this person's perfect for it, or I don't want that person because it's going to look badly on us that we hire, schmoes that are sitting around texting in the back.
So it's a little weird because we don't know anyone. Like in Austin, it would be easy to like, like kind of find people you know about or heard about or people that you like when they're bartending, like, but here we don't know anyone at all. And it's also like, because when we do open up, it'll probably be at a reduced capacity. We don't know what to expect in terms of staffing or volume, so we kind of plan to like run a very skeleton crew and hopefully, just start going out to bars ourselves and kind of like trying to meet people and, hear by word of mouth or, poach.
Yeah, man. I've been hit on before as far as like, if you ever want to change spots, I got a place down, here. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. You're always welcome to fill in the blank. But I've always been blessed with some pretty rad gigs, so never took up. Well, never mind. There was one time where I'm like, I'm in a little bit of a crunch. Is the offer still stand? And picked up some shifts here and there. That's awesome. I'm super excited for you guys. Is there anything that you would tell, like any advice you would give somebody that wants to own a bar at this point?
I would just say, honestly, two things. One, when people I don't care who it is and, what business they own or what they've done. Like if anyone says like they're self-made, tell them to go fuck themselves because no one is self-made. Everyone has had help along the way. Like we haven't done this all on our own, like even in terms of housing, we kind of got into a bind with housing because we couldn't afford to buy another house and we couldn't get a mortgage because this is a brand new business and we don't have any income. It was so like, people have helped us along the way. So I know that like, there's an element of privilege to us doing this. It's not just a sheer like pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. So, but two, I would say like it's just probably going to take longer and more money than you think it is. We were planning to immediately pay back our loans when we sold the house, and now we're just like worried. We're scared to do that right now because everything is taking so much longer. The whole process is slow moving. And that's what everyone says. Like people never budget enough money. And that's probably the truth. Thankfully we're doing everything on a shoestring budget, but if this was a bigger project, we'd be in deep shit.
Yeah, I get that. Oh, God. So you guys don't even know when you're going to open up? You don't even know, like, opening date is...
Yeah.
To be fair, like, we don't know when bars are going to open.
Yeah.
So...
Right, yeah.
It's kind of a multi-tiered thing.
Yeah.
We're kind of projecting we will be ready in like a month and a half, 2 months.
It was also tricky because moving to a different state, there's entirely different liquor laws. So we weren't familiar with like the whole process of getting like health permitting and like what is going to be required here. And you have to buy your liquor directly from the state of Vermont. It's not like through distributors, and, just setting up all of those connections. And yeah, it's just been tricky, but it's been cool. Like it is, like, I do feel like now that we're doing it, it's every day I'm more encouraged that I can do it. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, I was super overwhelmed. Like, where do you start? But as like the wheels start rolling, you're like, okay, I figured out this. I've got the insurance. I've got the liquor line. Okay, I've got, and you think you're more, I don't know, it's reaffirming, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. The first liquor laws are like the first thing to hit me every time. When I moved to Santa Fe, for instance, I was filling up, went in the gas station. I was like, oh, I'll take some liquor too, I guess, if I can do cool. Liquor's in the gas station. That's great. This is fun. Yeah. I'm having fun. I waited until I got home to drink it. But anyways, yeah, it's completely different. And same here. I'm not even in the bar industry right now, but there are things that are like branded in my memory from Austin of like, oh, you can't do that. You can't have liquor in the oh, I guess you can. Probably can here.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? You probably can. You can sell liquor on Sunday. Yeah. So I can only imagine like, oh, we're in Burlington now, and I don't know. Can you drink and drive here? I mean, not that,
yeah. I would tell people though too. I mean, if you want to open a bar, like any dream, really, like, we couldn't have afforded to do this in Austin, not by a long shot. We would have had to take on a lot of investors and like kind of shared our brainchild. And it's been hard enough for like Matt and I to decide on what furniture we want, let alone if you had to like split the idea with a lot of people, So it's, that to be adaptable. I mean, it took looking outside of where we knew and, to make our dream a reality. So sometimes it's like,
how bad do you really want
that? Like you can make it happen if you want to. I know a lot of people.
But that, not everyone can. We've had a lot of help, as like you said before. But if you got the shot, sometimes you just gotta change the parameters, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm super excited for you guys. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, I don't know. We'll let you know how when we finally open. We're aiming for like end of January, should the bars be allowed by then.
I would love to come plop down on the bar stool and show you guys some support.
Dude, we would love that.
Get behind the sticks, buddy.
Yeah. You're hired. You'll be telling us what to do since you have management experience.
I'm out of a job in 2 weeks, so you may see me sooner than you think.
Perfect.
We usually end with the poop story. Have you guys pooped your pants in Vermont or gone to the bathroom at all? I know you guys have just been
pooped my pants in Vermont. I haven't pooped my pants in
Vermont. Or Austin for that matter. You guys have a poop story?
Oh man, I've nearly pooped my pants several times, but I haven't done it. I've gotten like a few times out on a run where you're like, I have 3 miles to run back, and am I gonna have to go in these woods? That's happened, but it hasn't happened.
I've come close as it's an ex-runner. I don't know, ex-runner. I've had some close calls running before, and I'm like, I'm already running, so if this is an emergency, it's bad. Like I'm going full blast. So if I poop, it's gonna happen here and now. But luckily, nothing terrible. I've also had like PTSD running marathons because I hear about people that like overdo it and like they are mid-run and like just brown starts coming out of their shorts. You Google marathon.
I've seen pictures of this. God, I feel like something funny happened though recently with poop, and I wish I could think. It wasn't a shit your pants, but something like awkward did happen, and I just can't think of what it
was. Yeah, that's good. Good times. Hey, that counts. That's all good. Well, I wish you guys the best. Name of the bar. Do you guys have a website yet?
We don't. That's actually something I need to work on. Because we're gonna try and make our own, but we haven't come up with exactly like the branding logo. So that's kind of been the hitch. But it's also been an afterthought.
Look at this.
I
know a guy that can sketch pretty good. I'm just kidding.
Is this a pitch for a hire?
It was just, this was all like a coup for me to take responsibility for I'm going to get design the logo.
You're in.
Strong
you're the guy that you're the guy that we trust. That's it. You're in.
Oh, well, I wish you guys the best. The name of the bar is Good Trouble?
Good Trouble.
Awesome.
It's a little tip of the hat to John Lewis, the senator that passed away this year. He has a really like famous quote about good trouble, like doing something kind of wrong for a good reason, or stirring a little bit of trouble for the right reasons. And we do aim to, our whole idea is that we're going to give 5% of profits to a different local charity every month. And so the idea would be kind of drinking for a cause, causing good trouble.
Cool.
We'd love to say that it's going to be more in the future, but we're just kind of waiting to see how it goes when we get off the ground, and hopefully we can expand from there.
I'll tell you a story off air that has to do with like giving back good cause stuff. But I feel you on that. If anybody's ever in Burlington, Vermont, hopefully post-pandemic, go check out Good Trouble. Guys, thank you so much. That's it for us. Play us out, Shitty Ukulele.